Hey, it's Vanessa, and welcome to the energy read for May 2023. In this video, I'll be sharing with you my take on the current energetics that are running through collectively for the month of May. So the information you find in here is going to be timeless. So if you happen to find it at any other time besides May 2023, there's probably something relevant and resonant for you in this particular video. So keep tuning in. Now, the way that I do energy reads is I simply tune into what's going to be the most potent information that needs to be expressed for my particular soul group. That's why you see so many different energy readers out there sharing their different takes on what's going on energetically. There are certainly themes that we're all working through at the same time on a collective level, and I'm particularly interested in what's going to be most supportive for my soul group, because that's who I'm here to be connected with and to really activate. And so as a messenger and as an energy guide, I like to tap into the frequency and the energetics from that particular perspective. So if you are curious, does that fit you? Are you in my soul group? You can certainly check the description box below. There is a link to do two different videos on soul groups. One is, what is a soul group? And the other one is, are you in my soul group? And I just break it down like some of the main themes that we're all here to work on together. And what else do I need to tell you? I think that's it. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Please do like, comment, subscribe, click to get notifications, share with your friends, all that good social media stuff so this gets out to more people. And if you're not new, welcome back. Super glad you're tuning in again. And let's roll. Let's break it down for the month of May. So actually, I think I'll have you start with a collective deep breath. It's so interesting to me, and this actually goes with the theme of the video for this month, is how we, especially those that are energetically sensitive, we tend to, kind of hold our breath when there's big things moving through the collective. We hold our breath, our bodies in a more constricted way because we can feel the tension of everything that is breaking down and also breaking through. And so let's just take this moment before we move into the content here to just take a couple of deep breaths in whatever way it feels comfortable for you. I personally like to hold my heart while I breathe. I find it a really nice way to come back into the body. So I'm going to do that right now, and you can do it on your own as well. Okay, so as the theme rolled in for this month, I thought, that's curious. I never thought of this phrase before. And so when it dropped in, it was actually pretty intriguing for me around what it meant. And also in light of it, it made a lot of sense of what I and people in my world have been going through over the past couple of weeks. So I feel like there's been a build up to the revealing of this kind of energetic. And the theme that was coming through, or the phrase that was coming through, it's called reverse alchemy. Reverse alchemy. And I know you've probably heard the term reverse engineering, like we have this vision or this goal, and we think about like, what are the steps? Because sometimes when we think, oh my gosh, we have to take steps towards it, it might feel very long and like we're never ever going to get there. But if you reverse it from the point of view of like it's already done, already complete, and then you work backwards, sometimes it helps to kind of work with it in a more tangible, strategic kind of way, right? So when I heard reverse alchemy, I thought, well, what does that look like? Are we trying to work it from a reverse engineering perspective where we have this vision in our mind and then we're trying to work backward from it? And if that's the case, why didn't I just get the theme of reverse engineering instead of reverse alchemy? And the reason that was illuminated for me when I tuned into this and that specific question was to help us connect with the power that we actually do have as creators, as co-creators, as individual beings with, an incredible amount of access to tools that we often don't use in our day-to-day life, right? We tend to work it more from the physical perspective, sometimes emotional plane, sometimes mental plane, maybe a little less from the energetic plane, unless you're well-versed and well-practiced in that. And then certainly, like, how many of you actually live from the multidimensional plane of reality? It's a different way of engaging with life. And so oftentimes when we relate to the world and whatever's going on in our life from that more 3D physical, even physical mental plane of reality and emotional, we're working it from more of a programmed perspective, more of what we've taken on from cultural imprints, from mainstream narratives, from the programs and codes that have been passed on through our lineage. And so there's different ways in which we respond to life that is not predetermined. I mean, it is predetermined, but it's not really reflective of us and where our power lies. And so we're very unconsciously recreating the same kinds of dynamics over and over. And now what this has to do with reverse alchemy is, when you think of alchemy, you're talking about taking the compost or the crap and turning it into gold, turn lead into gold, turn crap into compost, right? It's like taking something that is challenging and turning it into something that is, an upgraded, higher frequency, better version of whatever it was. It's like really changing the alchemical composition of whatever it is that you're working with, right? The lemons to lemonade, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's this transformative process that we're always kind of in of like, what are the challenges and how can I transform them? And I think, at least for me, I often think about transformation. I'm sure that has to do with the being in the field of energy and also being a Scorpio, where we talk about transformation and power, like, or at least obsessively think about it a lot. And so reverse alchemy is, if you think of the end goal of alchemy being this ideal outcome, or the gold or the compost that we can use to create something new, and then the sort of that process of taking the yucky stuff and moving in this direction to create something better, the reverse alchemy is inviting all of us to become excuse me, more intimately aware of how we are taking our gold and transmuting it back into crap. Now, let me explain this for a minute. All of us have a very unique design, a very unique purpose, a very specific role we're here to play in this paradigm shift. Like, even if it's vague for you and you're like, I know there's something more, or I know I want to contribute to a better world. Like, even if you're living in that sort of like vague, unclear stage of the journey, which is totally fine. I mean, we all are there at some point, right? And we revisit that over and over again to every next level we get to. But there's a way in which we ignore our own gold. We ignore how far we've come. We ignore what we have created. We kind of, can be caught in this spin cycle of like, I'm still not there yet, or I still haven't reached the gold, or the vision hasn't manifested yet. And then that can turn into it's not working, or what's wrong with me, or what's happening in the stars, like what's going on with the energy. There's all of these ways in which we're in reaction and resistance to how we're, quote, not at that alchemical point where things have been transmuted. And so by nature of how we're approaching that alchemical process or that transformation, we're actually like not honoring the process, not honoring that like we're closer to the gold. We're actually taking the gold and moving backwards because we're discounting or sabotaging or disregarding in some way where we are in the process of alchemizing. towards seeing how we're experiencing the gold in the day-to-day, seeing how it is working. And so in the act of being dedicated to the more glass half, glass half empty perspective. I saw the image, but the words, they weren't coming. The glass half empty perspective it is working under the guise of reverse alchemy. You're disregarding the gold and you're literally undoing the process rather than moving towards it, right? So it's like you're working in reverse and you're going back towards that crap or shit place, that dark place, that shadow place, that there's many different ways that you can call it. And none of it's good or bad, really. I know we like to label things in such ways and we get a little obsessive with labels, especially these days. Just a distraction tool. I highly recommend not going there. But we use this as a way to kind of actually keep us out of the present moment. And I think we're all, kind of aware of how we have habits to perhaps not see what's the fullness of what we're actually doing, or maybe be hard on ourselves, like however you express that is fine. But what May is really asking us to do is to become aware of how we are participating, consciously or not, in the process of reverse alchemy, meaning taking the gold that we have and moving away from it, right? Like moving backwards towards the crap. And so I think what was coming through so strongly is no matter where you are in terms of, manifesting or aligning with your purpose work in the world or creating whatever it is you want to create, is to remember that every breath, every choice, every perspective, like as you're moving through the day, that's where the gold lies. And so if you're doing it in a programmed way, if you're doing it unconsciously, if you're doing it in disrespecting yourself or not talking about yourself very kindly, if you're doing it, you're not, supporting your body in the process of your growth, like all of that is participating in reverse alchemy. So while you may be saying like, I'm here to create the new paradigm, or, I'm on a mission, or I'm doing my purpose work, but then you're doing all of these things that are kind of dragging your energy down and pulling you back into that crap state of alchemy. It's what do I want to call it? It's not the correct use of your power. We each have way more power and ways to express the divine through our little cute human avatars and like a little temple and vessel that we exist within. And when we, are making these seemingly small and subtle choices, they like nick away at our energy, right? They fragment us, they create discord. And one of the main perspective shifts that I've really been sitting in lately is, instead of, sort of like, I'm an individual and here's the collective, right? There's a way that we dichotomize or like make these polarities, these dualities of like, this is me and this is you. And it's like, hold up, wait a minute, you are the collective. And so what you do is actually shaping the collective, and you are a representative of the collective. You are actually a messenger for the planet itself. Like, we are in deep relationship with these larger concepts. And so you have a responsibility with how you're running your energy. And this concept of undoing or reverse alchemy is going to make, it looks like it's going to make itself more apparent to you in May, meaning you're going to become acutely aware of the little choices that you're making that are undercutting what it is that you're really wanting to alchemize, what it is that you're really wanting to bring forth into the world. And the collective energetic underneath it is really like this deeper invitation for you to knock it off. No, to really be not just more mindful, but also like lighten up the load a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I think we can get super heavy. I know I can get super heavy about all of this idea around changing the world or my role in it or all of this stuff. And I think part of that heaviness is actually reverse alchemy. It's a way to keep me in a lower frequency where I'm like arguing with myself over my choices. But it's like, instead, you're going to become more aware of the little things that you're doing, like that like blip of a thought, or how you're eating that food, or it's almost as if time is slowing down in such a way that you just become, again, acutely aware of how you're showing up in the moment, how you're meeting the moment, how you're meeting yourself and meeting other people in the moment, and to intentionally really say, I'm now more consciously aware of how I'm participating. And I just caught myself in a moment where I was creating, actually, I was investing more in this old paradigm way of being, because just as we are the collective, we're also the old paradigm. Like, that limitation fear matrix exists within our system. And so like, we are being deconstructed and this different structure is emerging from within us, from an energetic and spiritual perspective. And we are, I said it the other day a couple of times, actually, in a different scenarios, where we are being birthed, we are also birthing, and we are also midwifing this entire process that we're in right now. And so to work your life from that perspective actually gives you a lot, I don't know, I want to say levity and gravity at the same time. I don't know. Life's a paradox, right? We have that light and the heavy, and the lightheartedness, and like the deep, like shadow transformative integrative process that we're in right now. So it's good to like pay attention to how you're balancing out those energies in your life. So to, kind of sum it back up to the energy of May, is the idea of how you're participating in the undoing of the vision by your choices, right? So let me make it super tangible for you. I, for example, have a very specific vision of myself, in terms of it, like I have a goal to be able to like climb and swing from trees. Like, that's literally a goal of mine. There's an account I follow on Instagram. This woman, she can climb and swing from trees. And I am a little gaga over this idea of being able to do this, and like the core body strength that would get developed as a result of that. Now, there's little choices, and like to hold that vision of, and to know like what kind of process I would need to go through in order to get there. It's like I hold that vision, but then every day I'm doing things that are either going to move me a little bit closer, or significantly like also going to move me farther away. And I don't want to participate in reverse alchemy. And I realized recently, like, a good portion of my energy and time and focus is actually in the reverse alchemy mode, where I'm moving away from the gold that I do have, and kind of breaking myself and keeping myself in more of a limitation or fear type space or matrix or paradigm. And so May is asking us to get like, we're going to get hyper aware of how we're doing that in May. And with that comes the invitation to choose differently, and to choose that no matter where you are on the process, that it's the gold that you are, it's the gold that you're creating, it's the gold that you're headed for. Notice every day how you're creating that gold, affirm every day how you're creating that gold, acknowledge the spaces where you slipped. It's not about always like making the right choice. Sometimes we make different choices, right? But then you say, that's okay. I participated a little bit in that reverse alchemy process. I was undoing some of the good work that I've been doing, and that matters to me. And so with the awareness of how we are participating, we become more conscious creators. We become more active in our intentions, and we become more, I want to say like, yeah, surrounded by a bit more grace, because we're allowing ourselves to actually admit what's real. I realized the other day how much I was participating in reverse alchemy in my own life. On multiple levels, like in every area of my life. I was like, whoa, I'm literally undoing the work that I've been working for like two or three decades on. And it really blew my mind, because it was a bit like, a deck of cards went up, and I could see it's almost those movie moments where everything is in slow motion, and the deck of cards actually just sort of suspends in the air. And you can see what's on them. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is humbling. I'm not having a slice of humble pie. I'm having the entire pie. And so it was one of those uncomfortable human moments where I had to get, very real with myself around, what my choices have been, how I'm perceiving the situation, where the gold is that I am not just not utilizing, but actively diminishing, and how that is participating in a reverse alchemy process and an undoing in my own life, and therefore in the collective, because I am the collective, and how those choices are actually solidifying the old paradigm model within my system, which is what I'm trying to break down, while at the same time, we're like, no, I'm working towards my goals. And you're like, but are you? What are you doing? Like, wait a minute. And so maybe a humbling month for you. I feel like I've gotten a little more practice in the last couple of weeks in terms of paying attention to, well, I couldn't not pay attention, because a lot of things were very like clear and in my face. But I feel like this is what's going to be moving through collectively with a little more bright lights around it in the month of May. So the best way to work with this energy, beyond what I've already shared with you, is to simply take ownership, responsibility, accountability for how you've been showing up. Discipline yourself to, if you need to process something around it, like you've got some big feelings, or you need to journal it out, or whatever things are coming up for you, then by all means do that, but put a container around it, because this time isn't necessarily to go down a rabbit hole of processing and then come out and it's May 31st and you're like, what happened? May is a time to very consciously, actively participate in creating the new, in allowing the gold that is you to emerge into the world, and to do that very consciously, with awareness, intention, with specificity around your goals and what that might look like for you, with specificity around how you want the paradigm to shift, like what is your role in that. So you want to what's the words, like, I don't know, kick procrastination in the butt, like, yes. So if you've been putting anything off, now is the time to tend to it. If you've been saying that you're doing all the things, now's the time to actually admit that you're not doing all the things. Like, let's be real, like, but what are you doing, and how are you using the gold, and where are you actively not using the gold, and to own that and take responsibility for that as well. And just to really understand and affirm that it's not just a fancy schmancy woo-woo idea that you're participating in the paradigm shift. Like, the new earth quite literally comes through you, comes through all of us. And it requires us to be different. It requires us to show up to the world with an upgraded identity, with, you know, a new energetic understanding of how much power we actually do have, and to really get that it's no place that we arrive at. It's literally built through us, and we have the template for the future embedded in our energetic field. So work towards that. And I think that's what I have for you for the month of May. Enjoy the energies this month. And if I can support you, I do have 3 mentorships. One's called Sacred Vision, which is about bringing your vision to life. The next one is called Leadership Rising, which is about really getting clear and defining who you are as a leader in this new paradigm. And the third one is called Your Healing Business, and it focuses on your money, your messaging, and the movement that you are here to seed. I have lots of other things, goodies, etc., and so on. Just check the description box below. And with that, I'm going to wish you well. Thanks again for watching. Please do like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff, so it gets out to more people on social media. Again, appreciate you for watching, and have a fab month. Hope you've enjoyed my pink background. I was feeling very pink today. Take care.